That's about as American as it gets, bro.
It's American.
Is this thing on?
Check 1 2 1 2.
It's fucking crazy.
They're invincible, indestructible, and he's living for like 10,000 years.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hunt for Greatness podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hunt for Greatness podcast. I got my man Randy Slack on here, and we're going to talk about. He's actually a radio host. Would that be the correct job title?
Yeah, radio talent, radio personality.
I like radio talent.
Yeah,
that sounds badass.
I feel like I can get more money if I call myself talent.
It's true. You are very talented.
Because then it's like, bro, I'm talent.
That's right, dude. 98.7, correct?
Cut that check. Yeah, I work Modern Rock 98.7, 6 to 10, and then I do sports talk on ESPN Wilmington from 11 to 12.
I didn't know that.
So, yep. They threw that on me about a year ago. It's fun, I like sports anyway. And it gives me a chance to talk more. Like, when you do a rock morning show, like I talk for maybe 2-3 minutes at a time, then I'm playing songs. Whereas when I do an hour on ESPN, I have an hour. And there's no music. It's just me going.
How can I listen to that?
ESPNWilmington.com, 101.7 AM, or FM, and AM 630.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
How'd you get that gig?
That gig, the sports talk gig, was just kind of like, hey, you like sports? What they wanted to do was like, the way it works in radio, you have a couple different stations that like are owned by the same company. And the two that are predominantly male-leaning are Modern Rock 98.7, the rock station, and ESPN Wilmington, the sports station. So they're like, how can we kind of join these two together? So they're using me for
Randy
that. So
Slack.
I can be sports guy Randy, and I can be, just yelling, screaming in the microphone.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you go on your little rants in the morning sometimes, and I absolutely love it. But you know what rants I love better than the ones when you go on the radio?
What's that?
Your open mic rants.
Yeah,
I love it, dude.
Sometimes those can go a little crazy for sure.
I love that. I love the don't care. This is who I am. This is what I think, and if
Well, that's what stand-up comedy is. It's supposed to be, an outlet for people, to get out there and say things. Hopefully, it's got to be in a funny manner. Like you can't just say things
Playful,
just to say things.
Yeah.
But if you can be funny and get a point across, or talk about your life, or talk about stuff that's going on, like that's what comedy's for. You don't have to agree with everything somebody says. That's okay. There's so many people now. Like I got a message recently. I mentioned on the radio that about Dave Chappelle. He had that
loved
his
it.
Sticks and
I loved
Stones.
it.
And I said that I agree with he has the right to tell the jokes he told. You don't have to like those jokes. And if you don't like them and if you're offended by them, I totally can understand that. I don't know what your life, I don't know your upbringing. I don't know, like certain things that people could say about, maybe what he says about transgender people affects you differently than it affects me.
Right.
And when people tell jokes about rural white America where I grew up, that affects me differently than maybe it affects other people. But I can respect the fact that he can tell those jokes. And if he's funny, but if I don't like them because it's not for me, that's okay.
The being funny is obsolete from the conversation. It's kind of like the right to be able to say what you want to say. Whether it's funny or not doesn't matter is what you're saying, basically. Yeah, you want it to be funny, but...
You want it to be funny, and he has the right to go out there, and there are consequences. You have the right to say what you want to say, and at the same time, someone has the right to go, well, I'm never going to see you at a show again because I don't agree with what you say. That person's right, too.
Nobody's wrong.
Yeah, because it's so hard to judge this kind of stuff. But I had somebody message me and tell me that it was like I'm transphobic because I agreed with Dave Chappelle, and it's like
They said you were transphobic.
they said I was transphobic
Because you agreed with Chappelle.
because I said that Dave Chappelle had the right to tell the jokes.
Right.
Again, I don't know. Like I get if you don't like those kind of jokes. If there's certain things that people joke about, you don't like them. My mom and dad, big time church going people. Their threshold for what offends them and mine are going to be different.
Right.
Your threshold and mine are going to be different.
Right.
That's okay. We don't have to all be. It's better that we're not all the same people. That we're different.
Right.
That's perfectly fine. But it was upsetting to me that somebody would just take the fact that I'm like, he can tell those jokes, and then they were like, well, I practice hate speech. And it's like, I don't really think that's the case.
Well, when you get into the weeds of like saying what people can and can't say,
Right.
you're in a dangerous area with that, man. Like,
Yeah.
especially like you totally get it because you do open mics and
Sure.
stand-up comedy. Somebody who doesn't or hasn't ever been or seen stand-up comedy, they might not understand how important that is that we allow these people to say what they need to say.
And not only that, but then to take it over to my job in radio, the rules are different there. And I can say certain things, but I have to be cognizant of if I'm saying these things, now my livelihood's on the line here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I tell a joke that offends somebody at an open mic, whatever. But if you cross a line, there are different lines you can cross. And you got to be real careful with that kind of stuff because that's how I pay the rent.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? By being on the radio and we have commercials. Like, obviously, I don't want to go places on the radio because, for one, like, it's so funny. I hear people talk about, like, oh, the FCC's cracking down. If the FCC wasn't around, people would be able to say whatever they want. Bro, I don't care at all about the FCC. I care about the businesses that want to buy commercials for my radio station.
Right.
Like, I'm worried about them because they're paying my paycheck. The FCC, the last thing I'm not breaking the rules because I don't want to make a client upset. That's why I'm not breaking the rules because look, I'm not going to sell out either. Like, if there's certain things I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about them. But I'm mindful of it too. Like, I don't talk about politics on the radio.
Okay.
Because you're going to turn off half the people,
Absolutely.
one way or the other. What's important to me is I will tell people, hey, today's National Register to Vote Day. Get out and vote. On Election Day, I run a promo on the radio station. I asked my program director, I was like, can I run a promo on Election Day? And it just says, hey, today's Election Day. If you want to keep the people in office, if you like the way things are going, vote for those people. If you want it to change, vote for other people. But go out and vote. Because that's important to me.
Right.
It's important that people express their opinions. I don't care if you don't agree with me. I just care that I would rather you go out and do something about it instead of just sitting at home and being mad because everything's going to shit and you're just mad about how the world is. And like that's not doing you any favors.
No.
It's not doing anybody any favors. Get out there and express yourself.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
Get your voice heard.
Yeah, it's crazy how people will just not do anything and then complain about the outcome.
Right.
Because, like, in my opinion, the decision to not make a decision is a decision in and of itself. You know what I mean? So if you're just sitting there, how can you complain about the situation that you're in if you're not?
Right.
Like we were just talking about before the podcast, you were saying that you've seen on Reddit how people will say they want to start doing something, and then you're like, just start it.
Right.
Like, just get up and start doing it. And I've never really had an issue with that in my life. Like, I'm pretty, I don't know, dude. Like, I decided I wanted to paint Dolly. And I was like, all right, I'm going to paint him. Fuck it. I was like, I hadn't painted in 15 years. I'm going to paint him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I was just, and like, I've always done pencils. And I'm like, was psyching myself out about it for like 2 days. And I'm like, 2 days is too long. I'm going to paint it. If it turns out shitty, then whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that failure is good sometimes. Like
Absolutely.
Sometimes when you fail or you don't do something up to the par that you believe that you can, that's what makes you want to be better.
Right. If I got what I wanted out of radio when I started doing radio, I'd be a totally different guy than I am now.
What do you mean?
Well, like when I started, I did a little bit before when I was in college, but I really started doing radio. I got my first gig in 2010.
Okay.
And like I felt like man, I'm ready. I could do like a night show. I could be on full time. And it's like, nah, man, I really couldn't. And getting to the point and building the calluses of failure and determination and just making it to the point where it took me 8 years to get my first full-time show.
Really?
Like my own show.
That's
The
awesome.
show at Modern Rock was my first show.
Really?
I did.
Okay.
I was part of other shows. I would do weekends, but I didn't have my own full-time gig. This was it. And the guy I am now doing it, compared to what I would have been 5, 10, 8 years ago or whatever, a totally different guy.
Just from the failures and just the evolution of self and like getting better at certain things.
Yeah, getting better, learning from other people, and really like kind of learning to appreciate everything. Like if I would have got everything handed to me quick, like I don't know if I would have taken it as seriously, and if I would have
Definitely wouldn't have.
I would have just been like, oh, cool, okay. Well, if this doesn't work, I'll get another one.
Yeah.
It took me so long to get to the point where I got this. It took me 100 of rejection emails of like sending my stuff to people, or a lot of times not even getting a message, but just applying for jobs everywhere. And
how does that work? Do you have like clips of you on the radio? And
yeah, you get like a demo reel, like 2.5, 3 minutes long.
Okay.
Send your resume, write a cool little cover letter talking about how awesome you are and all the stuff you do in the office and how great you make the station. And then you wait. And then, you send a follow-up email, maybe another follow-up. Hopefully somebody emails you back, and then you can have a name with it. And maybe you get a call. And then sometimes I would get like a letter in the mail like 8 weeks later that just was like, hey, we went somewhere else. And I was like, oh, I totally forgot. I applied for that job in Michigan. Because I was just applying constantly.
You came from Pittsburgh?
I came from Pittsburgh by way of Cincinnati. I started in Cincinnati, Ohio. I worked there at a country station, and then worked at a talk station and a rock station, and then moved to Pittsburgh to work on the biggest morning show in town on WDVE.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then came down here to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So
I think everybody knows you around here. I mean,
it's weird. Like it's
awesome.
It's crazy. I mean, it is. It's awesome, but it's just like. It really hasn't sunk in sometimes that like people know who I am, like I'm just like I go places and like somebody will kind of look over, like if we're my wife and I'll be walking through the aisle at Walmart and I'm just talking to her, and then like a lady would just kind of like snap her head.
Is it your voice? It's your voice.
It has to be, because people don't know. I mean, some people know what I look like,
but your voice,
I've pictures and stuff. But yeah, like the voice, I think people are just like. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like some radio guys, like they change their voice up so much when they're on the radio, and you kind of pretty much have the same voice.
I mean, I changed it a little bit, because, you have to.
It's a little more professional.
You turn it up to 11. You want to get that intensity up. You want to get that excitement up.
Baby.
Yeah. You want to be, and to me, that's a really important thing. What I like to do on the radio is be myself, be authentic, and maybe just turn it up a little bit. Maybe be a little more ridiculous than I would be in real life. Maybe be a little more just whatever than I would be in a normal situation, but to just kind of turn that up a little bit, because it's entertaining, and I think people can, I hope anyway, that when people listen to my shows, either one of them, they're like, that's probably what he's like in real life. Like,
and you are.
I don't want people to think, oh, well, this is just a character. This isn't the dude. It's pretty much who I am.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I was going to ask you, I was just thinking about what I was going to say while you were talking. Oh, your process of writing. Like, do you write jokes out whenever you do your stand-up?
I write bullet points.
Okay.
The weirdest thing when I do stand-up is I usually will come up with something on my way home. Like I'll be
doing stand-up.
I'll be driving home, and it's like, oh, that's a joke. And then I'll pull over to the gas station and open my notes on my cell phone, and then write down just a real quick little thing, and then that way I don't forget it, because you live in the moment and you kind of sometimes forget what you were thinking about.
Yeah.
And you might have had something awesome that really, really would have worked, and then you just poof, it's just gone. So yeah, I'll write bullet points. I don't write everything out. I used to try to do that. but it doesn't really work for me. I know it works probably for the people that are really good at stand-up comedy. They probably write all their stuff out. But for me, and it's kind of the same process for radio. Like, I don't write anything out for my radio show.
Really? You
I kind of work it out in my head. And then it's like, okay, I want to talk about this.
Like, while a song's playing, you're working something out.
Yeah, like maybe.
Really?
Like, I might have like something in particular. Like, if something really big happened over the weekend, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to talk about that at 8:15.
Oh, okay.
But usually, I'm just kind of like, I'll have a few things just kind of rattling around, and then it's like 5 or 6 minutes before I got to go back on the radio, and it's like, what am I going? Oh, yeah, I'll do this, and then I'll just go on to. Or if something in the moment happens, like if something happens on social media, or I get a message from somebody, or somebody calls in, like that can change everything. I keep it pretty fluid.
Yeah.
Just, because you never really know what's going to happen.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever said on the radio?
The dumbest thing ever.
Like, have you ever said anything and you're just like, why did I say that?
I mean, I feel like that probably happens a lot.
Really?
It's the weird thing about radio. The weirdest thing between like radio and stand up is when you tell a joke at a comedy club, there's an audience. When you're on the radio, I'm in a room by myself with a bunch of computers around, and you tell a joke, you say something, and it's gone. And you're just like, did anybody hear that? Did anybody get it?
Do you ever wish you're like, I should have saved that for the comedy club?
Well, a lot of times I'll workshop stuff.
What do you mean?
And like, I might talk about something on the radio,
and
then it went really well, and then I'll do it at Dead Crow. I'll do it at the open mic. Or I'll do something at an open mic, and I'll go, hey, I can clean that up. I can do that again on the radio. I do that all the time.
So they help one another a little bit.
A little bit. It's weird, though. I remember about 6 months ago, maybe even longer, maybe 9 months ago, a comedian went up to me, and she knew me from the club, and then she found me on the radio because I was just go to the open mics all the time. And she goes, I can't believe the guy that's here is the guy on the radio. And I always knew there was a bit of a disconnect between who I was on the radio and who I like. It's for me in the studio, I'm super comfy. But to get on stage, it's a different energy, it's a different vibe, and it was hard for me mentally to be the guy in this radio studio on the stage. And I didn't really think, I thought that, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then when she said that, it kind of really clicked. Like, yeah, you got to figure out how to get what you're doing on the radio on the stage. And one of the things I tried to do to just mentally get me in that spot, for about 8 weeks afterwards, when you're in the radio studio, the mic's like this. It's on an arm. You're not holding the mic. So what I tried to do to get myself into that zone is to kind of imitate that as much as I could on stage. And I left the mic in the stand. So that way, I'm not holding it, and I could use both my hands, and I could kind of move around a little bit if I needed to. And I wasn't focused on holding a microphone, because in my head it was like, when I'm holding a microphone, it's like, this is different.
Oh, it's a mental.
Yeah, but when I put it when it was just in the stand, it was just kind of like, okay, here we go. And I could just kind of fall into that a little bit.
That's interesting, man.
It's just little weird stuff,
Yeah.
Like I was just trying anything because I just wanted to get my voice out there. I feel better about it now. Like I hold the mic again.
Okay.
It's not as big of a deal anymore. But yeah, it definitely was something that like, we put that in there. Because I was just trying to think of what I could do on stage to replicate the studio.
Or like make you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I couldn't put on headphones on stage. That would have been weird. You know what I mean? So I couldn't be like, can you guys not look at me? So it was like, I'll put it in the stand. And yeah, as soon as I did, like those first couple of shows afterwards, it was like, okay.
So you've been doing radio longer than you've been doing open mic stand-up.
I really started doing open mic stand-up here.
Really? How cool is Dead Crow, dude?
People don't realize how nice it is here.
It's so nice.
When I did a few open mics in Pittsburgh, just dabbling in a little bit. I knew a lot of local comics from my radio show, the radio show I worked on. So I met a lot of them. I wanted to do stand-up, kind of dabbling a little bit. And when you're doing it there in a big city, like we were doing it like a sports bar. and people are watching a ball game while you're trying to tell jokes. Nobody's there for you. And it always just kind of felt flat, and it was kind of like, man, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then you come here, like when they flew me down for a job interview here, and I went, it was a Thursday, so I went to the open mic,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, oh my God.
Like you watched or you did it?
I watched,
Okay.
and it was just like, this place is amazing.
It's
I
so
can't
awesome,
believe
dude.
that this is where people get to do open mic comedy. Like, if you've only done open mics at Dead Crow and you go anywhere else, you're going to be in it for a really...
I've only done them at Dead Crow.
Yeah, you'll be in for a surprise when you go other places and people are not interested at all in what you're saying.
Yeah, because they're really into it. Like,
They're there for a show. They're
Yeah.
there for the open mic.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, you go other places and people are just drinking.
you think it's
hanging
because
out
it's
with
a
their friends.
comedy club?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
And that's why they're there. Instead of just at a regular bar where they're probably just there just to get drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely it's an amazing place though. It really, really is.
Stand up is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Like, it's up there.
How long have you been doing it?
Man, I've been doing it probably, I don't know, 4 months probably. 3 or 4
Okay.
months, maybe 4 months now. But, like, I'll psych myself out, dude. Like, I'll be writing a bunch of jokes. I'm like, this is good. And then when it gets closer to Thursday, I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast or whatever. You know, just something
Right.
like where I'm more comfortable. But, like, I've never grown in my own comfort zone, dude. I've always had to get out of that. But stand-up is just, it's mind-boggling to me. And, like, anybody who does it, like, I have respect for you. Because if you can get the mic and get up there and just try... Like, it just
Yeah.
takes a lot of balls to get up there and do
It
that.
really does.
It does, man. And, like, you don't have music behind you.
No.
You don't have anybody there to save you. Like, it's just you and it's the audience. And if they don't like you, they don't like you. You know, and it's just like, I mean, I don't think I've really bombed hard. But I've definitely gone up there and not done good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've definitely bombed before.
I mean, maybe I did bomb. I don't know.
I've had times where I was just like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And then other times it's funny because like I can't even think of the joke right now. But like I've done it before where like I'll go at the open mic and a joke just doesn't work. And I'm like, that's a good joke. These people just don't know what they're doing. And then I did it the next week and it popped.
Really?
It was great. And I was like, I knew it. Like those people last week, they don't know what they're talking about. They didn't know what they were listening for.
You think you did it different?
I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did it with a different confidence. Maybe I threw in a little bit
Even your
of different
tone.
stuff. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how
The
little...
pacing, anything
Yep.
like that. You
The
know,
timing.
it's like, from that kind of stuff. And anytime you can throw, like, I have a few stories and things I've done, jokes a bunch of times. And now I'm at the point where, like, the story part, I know really well. But, like, I know I'm so comfortable with that, then I can throw more stuff into it while I'm going. Because it's like, I know I'm going to go from A to B, but now I know, oh, you know what? While I'm here, I can get a detour, and I can pull this joke in.
Oh, I like
get a little
that.
farther and do this and this, and then get a little, and make it even better, make it bigger. And it just comes with repetition. That's the whole thing with comedy.
Yeah.
Is you just have to be willing to go out there and just take beatings, but just do it over and over and over
rough,
again.
dude.
And
It's
eventually, it can. And it's amazing too. I've seen people that have been doing comedy at Dead Crow for a while, and it seems like you might think like, man, I don't know if they're getting it. Like you watch them and you're just like, meh. And then all of a sudden, one week, like I don't want to name the guy, but I remember a couple weeks ago there was a guy that went on stage. I've been seeing him for a while, and then it was just like he figured it out. And it's amazing how it just one time it just clicks, and if you keep at it long enough, it can click for you.
Yeah.
And like I was like, this is going to click for this dude, and then it did.
If he keeps going enough.
He took taking criticism and just working on it. Obviously, if you go up there and you think you're doing fine, and you're not looking inwards and going like, what am I doing? How can I make this better?
Yeah.
You're probably never going to get better.
Self-critical is...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so imperative whenever you're doing something like that. You probably are like that on the radio too, though.
I hate listening to myself afterwards. Like if there's clips or like if I do a commercial and my voice is on, like I turn it.
I mean, you don't have a bad accent like me, though. You know what I'm saying?
I hate listening to myself. Like if I'm in the car I'm listening like jamming 99.9. Like I'm listening to beats, dude. I'm not listening. I cannot listen to me. If I hear me talk, it's just.
Isn't it weird? It's weird, isn't it?
It really is.
It's so
I'll
weird.
probably never watch this. Because to hear myself talk for an hour or however long this is going to be is just not going to do it for me.
See, I've had to listen to myself because I have to edit it and put it on the computer and everything. And then too, like what's helped me with stand up, and I don't know anything about it really, man, but like videotaping, having my friend videotape me, and I go back, dude, I cringe the entire time.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I hate it. But, like, I see where people laugh and how I said something, and I'm like, okay, that's how it worked. Because when you're in the moment, dude, like, it's hard to remember exactly what you said and how you said it sometimes. Yeah. And then it's like I don't even hear people laugh sometimes.
Sure.
Like, sometimes I'm so deep down. Like, the only time that I would say I bombed, I guess you could say I bombed. I mean, I felt terrible about it, so that means you bombed, right? I thought about it for a fucking week after that, dude. On the whole ride home, I wanted to just, like, I was sweating, psyching myself out, like I'm never going back. But the only time I bombed, dude, I was so deep in my head that I wasn't, like, I couldn't feel the interaction of the people and the energy.
Sure.
It's like when I feel the energy and I'm in the moment and I'm, like, enjoying myself.
Right.
That's when I do the best.
Absolutely.
It's like when I'm thinking about it too hard, that's when I don't do good.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking way too hard into it, you know?
I hear you. I've been doing it enough now where when I have a really bad night or a really good night, it doesn't affect me anymore.
Really?
Like when I go home now and like if I crush at the open mic, like I don't like before I would just be like on a high, and I'd be like, I'm the king of the world.
That's how I feel.
Or like if I do terribly, like I'm laying in bed and I'm just like, God. But now, either way, I'm just kind of like, okay.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm over that part of it.
Is it just like from doing it?
Yeah, I think it's just doing it so many times and having so many times where it went well and so many times it went terribly that I'm just kind of like, okay, that didn't work, or you know what, that worked pretty well. But yeah, like I just don't.
So you've been doing it a year and a half?
About a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah. So you moved here in 2018?
Yeah, I moved here February 2018, yeah.
Okay. And then you immediately started at 98.7?
I moved down here for the gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you moved from Pittsburgh to down here?
Yes.
So that's you live at the beach now. How do you like that?
It's awesome.
Isn't this place awesome?
It doesn't snow. It doesn't, it's not getting down to zero. Which is nice. Our heat never kicked on last year.
Are you serious?
We
what do you have your thermostat set at,
65.
Dude? Okay, that's good.
Dude, we had it set at 65. I had the windows. I sleep with the windows open about every night. It'd be like 40. And I'm just like, this is nice.
Dude, I love it when it's cool.
Yeah.
I can't do when it's hot. It's been hot this year, dude.
It's been awful.
Dude, how is it still 95 degrees?
I have no idea. Dude, I wake up at 4 o'clock to go to work. I get out to my car at 4:30 in the morning, and it's hot already.
You're already sweating.
And I'm just like, can it not be this hot? It's dark. Like, why can't it be cool out here? And it's muggy and 80. And it's like,
you've only been here a year and a half, so you're just not used to it yet.
I'm really not.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah, well, and this year, our AC, we have it set 75 now, where last year it was 70, 72. We kept it real chill. Now it's kind of 7. We keep it 75. I'm cheap.
Yeah.
So
75 is what I put mine on when I leave, and when I come back, 73.
I crank it lower at night when we're sleeping.
Yeah.
But during the day, it's 75. When I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, I'm in the other bedroom just sweating.
At night, it doesn't work that hard anyway, though. It's just the heat from your attic.
Yeah.
Or do you have an attic?
Well, we're in an apartment. We're on the second floor.
Oh yeah, second floor, so you're in between two.
Yeah, we get a little heat up there.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. So you get up at 4 to go to work?
I get up 4:15. Yeah.
And do you do it Monday through Friday?
Yes.
Okay, so do you do the ESPN show on the weekends?
No, I do the ESPN show afterwards. I do Modern Rock from 6 to 10, and then I have an hour off, and then I do Sports Talk from 11 to 12.
Do you so you actually interview people on the ESPN?
Yeah.
How is that? Because you don't do that on the radio, right?
Occasionally. It's weird. I'm a one-man show, so it's hard for me to, sometimes I like to have people on. If a comic is having a show, I might have a Drew Harrison's come in before. I had Julia Desmond in. I've had Timmy from Dead Crows come in a few times.
Oh, cool.
I do stuff like that.
Tall guy, Timmy.
Yeah. And then occasionally we get emails from managers or publicists that are like, hey, so and so's going to be in your town. We'd like to have him on your show. Like we get rarely, but occasionally, and like I've had like Dusty Slay and Steve Byrne and people like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do most of the interviews on the sports talk show just because that's easier, and it's just an hour talking to yourself is hard.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
yes,
it's a task,
especially if you're like if you have to be censored and you can't really get weird on there.
right? I mean, we go weird places. Like I don't talk sports for the hour
Yeah.
sometimes. Like I'll do. Some hours are like 50-50.
Yeah.
And like today I talked about Rambo 5. I watched that on Friday.
I saw your Instagram post.
Terrible.
I didn't know what your Instagram post meant because I haven't seen the Rambo.
Don't.
What was the meme? It was you posted a meme of like Rambo on your Instagram.
No. I posted a tweet of in Rambo 5. He's a cross between Michael Myers from Halloween and Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Yeah, how is that, dude?
Because like he walks in. Spoiler alert. There's a scene where he goes into like a brothel and he kills like 6 dudes with a hammer. Like he's just walking around.
So Michael Myers.
Sylvester Stallone's like 70. Like
he's old.
He can't move. So he just walks into these rooms just stiff and just starts hitting dudes with hammers.
What?
And then like there's scenes where they're going to this farm he lives at and he's got these traps everywhere. And like a guy will fall through the floor and there's like Mortal Kombat spikes on the ground and he like gets chopped up or like he cuts the guy's heads off.
Booby traps.
Yeah, there's booby traps and just gore, like just gratuitous. It was like I laughed like 6 times watching this movie.
Really?
Because it was so preposterous. I'm just like, bro, is he really ripping out this dude's collarbone right now? And he did.
Are you serious?
He grabbed a dude's collarbone and started bending. I'm like, what am I watching?
Oh my god, dude!
What am I watching here?
What kind of movies you like? Action?
I do. I mean, look, I've watched all the Rambos. Rambo 1, First Blood's amazing.
Oh, it's great.
Rambo 4 is so bad it's good, and this one's just really just bad.
Rambo 1 was one of the first rated R movies I ever saw.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
So good.
Amazing.
Yeah, I do a lot of the actions, the comedies, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Terminator, the original.
You see, they're doing another one of them, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Dude, the first 2 are so good, and
So
then every
good.
one after that has just been.
I don't remember any of them after that. I just remember the first 2. I know I've seen them.
Yeah,
but I just can't remember them.
They're not. Yeah, the first 2 are amazing. They're 2 of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, they're great.
And then you watch the 5th one, and you're just like, all right.
Yeah,
they're making another Indiana Jones
with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out, but when it comes out, he'll be 82 years old.
What?
82. Like,
dude, Indiana Jones was the shit back in the day, son. Oh my god, dude! Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom kind of sucks.
I like Temple of Doom because he eats his heart, dude.
It's okay.
That was the first 3, though, right?
Last Crusade's great too.
Awesome. Last Crusade was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah. Yeah, with the train at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark was amazing too.
Yeah, so good.
And I like the little Chinese guy in the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
And when they eat the heart, dude, I'll never forget that. When I was a little kid, it freaked me out, dude, because he's like the heart's beating in his hand and he's going to eat it.
And then when they're on the bridge at the end and he starts doing it to Indy, it's like, oh man, yeah.
Dude, Harrison Ford was a man back in the day too.
He was great, but now like somebody else can be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, dude, pass the torch,
we don't
Harrison.
Need 82-year-old Indiana Jones.
He was Han Solo again too.
Yeah,
dude. It's getting crazy out there, ain't it?
It's weird, like these
How old are you?
People. I'm 35.
35. All right, I'm 29. So we kind of probably watch the same.
Sure, I'm sure. But yeah, it was. I don't know. Some of these guys need to maybe just kind of haven't you made enough money? You know.
I don't even think it's about that, dude. I think it's just about like trying to leave a legacy, or they just might be bored. They're just bored.
I mean, people look like, and that's the thing was like I like the character. I like Rambo. So it was like they made a 5th one. I'm like, all right. I love the Creed and Creed 2.
Oh, they were awesome.
They're so good.
Awesome.
But at least Stallone was smart enough in those to be like, yeah, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm going to be the old trainer guy.
Yeah.
And he's great.
He is.
He's unbelievable how he can be so good in like when Creed 1, when he finds out he has cancer and he's like, he doesn't want to fight it because everybody in his life that he ever knew was gone. Like, that hits hard.
Yeah, dude.
And you're like, man.
It's a dark place.
And then you watch him do terrible stuff like Rambo 5, and you're like, how is this the same guy? How is the same dude who's doing this speech where you're in tears also talking to a Mexican drug cartel guy about rescuing his, I don't know if she's in high school or college or whatever, but he's going to rescue this chick. Like, it's so, like, I can't understand how a guy can be so good and so terrible at the same time.
You do you like Tom Hardy?
He's all right, yeah.
I love Tom Hardy,
the Mad Max he did was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fury Road. I love those Mad Max movies.
Yeah, do you like Rob Zombie movies?
They're okay.
You're not really like horror movie type of guy?
Not too much.
You like action, comedy?
Yeah, more of that stuff. Not really.
Did you see Bill Burr's special yet? Mm-hmm. What did you think about that?
Yeah. I thought it was all right.
Yeah. What about Chappelle's? You never said what you thought.
I enjoyed it. I think he's funny. He says things in ways like he can really get a point across and make it funny at the same time. Like, it's smart that way.
It's intelligent.
Like,
yeah.
His story when he talks about how when he's meeting with the lady from Standards and Practices, and she tells him that he can't say a specific word.
Yep.
But then he's like, but you let me say the N-word all the time. And, like, it's a funny joke, and it also kind of shows
how stupid we are.
How just ridiculous and just how things work in society. Like, it kind of opens that door that you kind of know what's on the other side of that door anyway, but you don't know for sure. And then Dave opens the door and kind of lets you go, see, it is what you thought it was going to be.
He's amazing.
He's real good with that kind of stuff.
What do you think about Chappelle's show?
I love Chappelle's show.
I love Chappelle's
show. Dude, when I was in college.
Oh,
we watched that thing all the time.
It was so good. True Hollywood Stories with Charlie Murphy, dude. Come on, bro.
Clayton Bigsby.
Clayton Bigsby trading spouses.
Yeah.
The racial draft. Come on, dude.
Which again, like the Clayton Bigsby sketch, it's like he's blind and he thinks he's this white supremacist.
Yeah.
Like, but that's real. Like, if you grew up obviously that's a really extreme example, but you could grow up and just be fed information your whole life, and you just believe that. And if you really knew everything, you'd be like, well, that's not right at all.
Exactly.
But you just grew up that way, so why would you think anything different?
Yeah, it's kind of even not. It's not really an extreme, like, people. That's how racism is. Like, it's taught by like lineage and families, and like it's ingrained in a child from a child.
Right.
It's like he really does get like real points across whenever he's doing his comedy, dude. He's very good. He's probably my favorite of all time.
I think he's got to be up there for me. I admittedly don't watch enough stand-up comedy. Like, I enjoy it. I like watching it, but I don't really study it that much. A guy I really like, Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show. Super funny guy, very smart guy, real. It's real interesting. His Instagram, by the way, real good stuff. He'll post funny things on there, and then if you are trying to be like an aspiring comedian, like he'll drop knowledge.
Really? And
you're really like he talks about, he says, he told a story one time on his Instagram story, in text form. He said, if you really want to be a comic, you're going to let everybody down. Because at one point, somebody's going to want you to go to their bachelor party, and you're going to have a gig, and you're just going to have to miss it. Or somebody's going to have, your nephew's going to be born, but you're going to be on the other side of the country because you're trying to make this dream work. He goes, you're going to run out of I'm sorry's one day because you keep apologizing for missing stuff, but eventually it's just going to kind of be like they're just going to figure it out.
Yeah.
That you care, you're trying to make this thing work, and that's your life. And it was really kind of heavy because it was like heavy. Like how much has that affected his life? But it's like you're going for a dream. Like if you're going to be a stand-up comedian, you can't go. If you want to be a pro, you can't go halfway. You can't be like, well, okay, I really want to be the best comic I can be. Unless something's happening here, or my friend's doing this, or my sister's in town, or my mom's doing this, or like whatever.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, you can't. You have to go for it if you're going to really be successful. And when he said that, like that story, and I'm missing parts of it, I'm sure.
Roy Wood Jr.
But yeah, Roy Wood Jr. Very funny. He's a funny dude anyway.
Yeah.
Like his comedy's great, but yeah, he's a real student of the game with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
That's interesting. Did you? So you were married when you moved here?
Yes.
So you met your wife in Pittsburgh.
I met my wife in Pittsburgh.
Is
yeah.
that where she's from?
No, she's from Philadelphia.
She's from Philly.
She moved to Pittsburgh for work, trying to find a gig. She does like criminal justice stuff.
Oh, okay.
So she moved to Pittsburgh. She was working at a Starbucks at the time. I'm working at a radio station nearby. I'm getting coffee, just kind of talk, and then one thing led to another.
Nice.
We both liked the Lonely Island, and took off from there.
Yeah. So you guys got married, and then you were like, "Hey, I got a job in North Carolina, so
yeah." And
pack it up.
That's the thing is you gotta find somebody who's really supportive of you, because I'd been married before, and it wouldn't have worked out that way. And it's probably why it didn't work out in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like my wife knows, like that's part of the gig is in radio. Like I'm applying for jobs everywhere. It wasn't like I worked in Pittsburgh, so like I'm looking at the competing station across the street. I'm looking at Pittsburgh. I'm looking in Philly. I'm looking at Detroit, Michigan. I'm looking in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm looking in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm looking in Palm Beach. I'm looking in Austin, Texas. I'm looking in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm looking in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Anywhere that had a gig that I thought I could do.
So you just wanted your own show.
I wanted my own thing. Yeah. It was like, I got into it to do my own show. Like,
that was the goal.
Yeah. Like I had an easy gig in Pittsburgh because the show I was on was the biggest show in town. It had been around forever. And I was the kind of guy behind the scenes. And there was no problem. We could do anything we wanted. They did a comedy fest. They do comedy fest every year. They did their comedy fest in an arena last year.
What?
They had Bill Burr. It was Bill Burr. It was Ian Bagg. It was Roy Wood Jr. It was I'm missing a person or two. But they have like big time headliners every year on these shows, and they put them on themselves. Like they have all this control. When comics come to town, like it's crazy. A comedian will have a sold out show at the Improv. They don't need to do radio. They'll do radio on our show. Or then like a guy will come on for 2 hours. Like instead of doing like, normally when a comedian does like a radio hit, they'll come in for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Take a picture. All right, guys, we'll see you. And then they go to the other place. We would keep people for hours. We would keep them so long they would blow off the other stations.
Really?
Yeah, because
they knew that was the one to be at.
That was the biggest one in town. Like our ratings, not to get too much into the minutia, but like we were number one, and if you added number 2 and number 3 together, they didn't add up to us.
Really?
Like we dominated it.
Wow.
And again, for me, it was an easy gig. I'm that guy that I get to just be behind the scenes, and we're doing the coolest stuff. And Bert Kreischer's coming in singing Creed on the air, and just wild stuff's happening all the time.
Yeah.
We have bands coming in, we have all this stuff going on, and big events all the time. But it was like it wasn't my show, and like I didn't get into this to not do my show, and it took a long time. 8 years, but eventually, I got down here, and I think I'm doing all right so far.
So what were you doing in Pittsburgh?
I was producing the morning show. Well, by the time I left there, I was producing a morning show for WDV. I was doing weekends and filling in for an alternative rock station on WXDX.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers had their own radio network, their own internet radio station. I did a show 4 days a week for them as well. And I did weekends on a country station.
Good gracious.
Yeah, I was just working. They weren't paying me enough, so I had to just keep adding on new jobs to make that money, you know what I mean?
So
eventually, because I wanted to build my chops up to get my own show.
Yeah, like a portfolio of such. Yeah.
Right.
So you work from, what'd you say,
6 to 10.
6 to 10, and that's every day.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, 6 to 10. Now I work the 6 to 10 gig, And then, I do sports from 11 to 12.
The hour, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, really, I'm on all the time. Because, like, my social media is part of my show.
Yeah.
Like Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook.
Say your Instagram for anybody listening.
rslack37 Instagram, Slackomania on Twitter. I have about 20.
Slackomania. Dude, that's badass, dude.
I had Randy Slack. I had it. I had my name on Twitter. And then I went to Pittsburgh, and everybody in Pittsburgh on DVE, it was at DVE Randy, which was the host of the show, Randy Bauman. Awesome guy. Bill Crawford was at DVE Bill, at DVE Mike, at DVE Val, at DVE Sean, at DVE Michelle.
So you changed it.
So I go by Slack, so I went by at DVE Slack.
Oh.
But then I started working on so many other stations that I didn't want to just be DVE Slack.
Yeah.
So then I went back to get Randy Slack. A bot took it. Now the account's suspended. It's just sitting there dead. I emailed Twitter about every 3 months. I'm like Andy Dufresne when he was trying to ask for new books in Shawshank. I emailed him all the time, and I'm like, bro, look at 2009 through 2012. That's my handle. It's this account. It's at Randy A. Slack at gmail.com. It's the same account that I'm using today. Give me back my name.
They wouldn't do it.
I never hear anything.
Jack Dorsey.
I never hear anything,
buddy.
Never hear anything from them. I mean, Slackomania is okay.
Slackomania is amazing, dude.
I like it.
Dude, that's amazing. I love it.
That came from when I worked in Cincinnati, I got a T-shirt. I got a T-shirt made because I'm out of control. It was a T-shirt in the Hulkamania.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about.
But it said Slack, so it was Slackomania.
Red and yellow.
And the red and yellow.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd wear it, and people would be like, Slackomania.
Dude, that's awesome.
So then that was a natural go-to. Okay, I'll just go by Slackomania.
Yeah. Do you ever say your handles on the radio?
All the time.
Okay, cool.
Because again, I want it to be on all the time. Plus, back in the day, people would call into radio stations a lot. They'd call in and talk to the DJs, things like that. Now I feel like people would rather text you or tweet you or DM you or snap you or whatever. So I'm on all these things.
Yeah.
And then if stuff's happening during the day, I can tweet about it, I can snap or Instagram or whatever about it and kind of keep the show going all the time. I'm always trying to think of new stuff to do. And because, the show's about my life, I try to talk about, I need to do things. I can't just sit at home all the time because then the show's boring. I need to go out and explore the area and do different things. Yeah. Then it makes it the show. So, technically, I'm only there from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. usually. But, I'm always kind of, if they email me during the day or if, I'm driving around, I'm like, it'd be a great idea. And then, I'll email my promotions director or the general manager and be like, yo, what about this? I'm always trying to think of stuff.
Have you done Battle House?
No.
Dude, you got to do Battle House, dude. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they used to do advertising on their station all the time. They stopped doing advertising.
Dude,
I wasn't too thrilled with that. But
dude, it's probably because it's jam-packed all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, but it's awesome. You got to go down there and do it. It's so much fun, dude. It is intense. It's for real, Call of Duty in real life, dude. And they got little games, and they'll set them up. They'll do capture the flag, disarm the bomb, kill the terrorists, all kinds of stuff, dude. It's so much fun. It's
Dude.
an inside, in a warehouse.
Sure.
Dude, it's so sick. You got to do it.
I'm terrible at first-person shooters.
It would make for a great story on the
I'm sure it
radio,
would.
dude.
I need to get them back on to advertise. Because that's the thing is, my bosses, they're always like, they spend the money, don't talk about them. And I get it. You know what I mean? Because businesses will be like, if he's going to talk about us for free, I don't need to spend the money.
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from. I just, I was a little disappointed. I don't know why. If it's what you're saying, they're just packed all the time. They don't need to run ads.
I don't know, dude. I know.
Good for them.
I
don't wish them any ill will. I mean,
they'll be back, dude.
They'll be fine.
Back.
They'll be fine.
I hear them on the radio. I hear about them on the radio sometimes. I was just trying to think of some cool stuff around here to do. Because you're probably always out doing stuff.
I try to.
Yeah.
I drove up my wife was out of town one weekend. I drove all the way to Fort Macon.
Where's that?
It's all the way at the end of Atlantic Beach, Emerald Isle. Modern Rock goes all the way up to Beaufort, all the way up there.
What'd you go there for?
Because I just wanted to see what it was like. And we have listeners that live all the way up there.
Oh.
So it's like that
So you
way.
want to be able to relate.
Yeah. And it was really cool, honestly. Like Fort
Yeah.
Macon was it was pretty neat. Like
Is it a military base?
Yeah. It's an old
Okay.
one. Like it's built into like there's a hill and it comes down into like a bowl and there's all these little, buildings and barracks and stuff. It's really, really cool.
Really?
And I just went because it was just like, I didn't know nothing else going on. And I wanted to see if our signal went all the way up the coast. And again, it did. And it was like, it's nice to go up there. Because then, like, when we had the hurricane, I'd been up there a little bit. It's like I kind of was a little more familiar when people are calling in and telling me they live on Emerald Isle. It's like, oh, yeah, I can picture that a little bit. And it's
Man, you guys
amazing.
did a great job with the hurricane.
Thank you.
It was amazing, dude. When I was rolling back, because I went to Sanford
Okay.
and to my parents because we got a little baby, and I
Sure.
didn't want him here for any of that.
Don't blame
So we took him inland, and when we were on the way back, we cut the radio station on, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. And I heard you talking about like sleeping in the studio or something.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude is badass. And I knew who you were at that point. I'm
Sure.
like, that's awesome, dude. Randy Slack's in there straight getting it, boy.
I mean, look, there's so many things that people can listen to now between podcasts, between Spotify, between whatever, satellite radio. Like one of the things that terrestrial radio can do that nobody else can do is stuff like that.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can't you have to be on the radio to get that information out to people. And for me, it was more of, I mean, look, did I like sleeping in the studio? Hell no.
It was so badass,
sucked.
dude. It was
but
badass.
it was like there was like a little bit of pride in the work because it was like, this is what we do. Like if there's something like this, like I wasn't on the skeleton crew last year for Florence. And this year when we knew that this hurricane was coming, it was like, I want to be here.
Yeah.
Because I felt bad that I wasn't there for my team last year. Luckily, it was only for a night, but I would have been there as long as it took just because
Yeah.
it's like, that's what we have to do sometimes. Is you have to just get in there and talk about tornadoes or, silly stuff when the power's coming back on and people are wanting, fried chicken. You got to let them know where they can get it.
Dude, it's so important. It's
Yeah.
so important because we don't realize what we have till it's gone.
Sure.
It's like, okay, well, I can go in there and turn the microwave on or use the oven or
Right.
whatever. And it's like, we don't realize that everything really, a lot of stuff depends on the power, dude.
Right.
A lot. And it was cool when I was listening. I was like, all right, it sounds like they got power.
Yeah.
So that's good. Because in Sanford, you know where Sanford is? Like smack dab in the middle of North
Okay.
Carolina.
Gotcha.
So that nothing happened there really. I mean,
Right.
it was fine.
No rain. But
Nothing
yeah,
really, yeah. But and we got back here and I'm like, thank God. Because Florence was bad, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Florence was bad. What'd you do for Florence?
Well, we stayed.
So you just hunkered down in the
Yeah,
house?
I mean, because again, I could have been called into duty. My wife works for New Hanover County, so she could be called in for duty. So it's like, yeah, like when stuff like that goes down, like I'm staying.
I
Like,
think
no
you'll
matter,
be on the air for the next one too.
Yeah, no matter how bad it gets, we have to just kind of like, it's like, this is part of the gig,
It's so important too,
Yeah.
like you're saying, dude. It's so important. I got a generator now, so I'll probably hunker down for the next one, do a podcast or something while the tornadoes going or while the hurricane's going on. They had some bad tornadoes too.
Ton of tornadoes. There was, I think, 11 confirmed tornadoes.
So you guys were like saying where the tornadoes were at and stuff too.
Yeah, we were doing that, and we were getting constantly cut off because the EAS alerts were going out to let people know.
The
that there
warnings?
was- yeah.
Yeah.
Letting the emergency alert system,
Okay.
sorry, EAS, to let like the
Yeah.
like that stuff, and letting people know that there were the tornadoes were coming. That was crazy. How many? I think there were confirmed 11, which is just an absolutely
That's crazy.
just wild number.
Tornadoes are terrible, dude.
Yeah.
You guys don't have none of that up there in Pittsburgh, dude.
We got when I lived in Ohio, where I'm from, we got tornadoes occasionally.
Yeah, really?
Like it would storm real bad, and we could get tornadoes, but
Okay.
we never really got. In Pittsburgh, it was just really cold constantly. And
No
it
hurricanes.
snowed,
I mean, no hurricanes.
It would
up there.
snow like you might get 12 inches, 18 inches,
Ugh.
like just brutal. And Pittsburgh's so hilly that like it's crippling when there's just a ton of snow because you might live on just I think like the steepest street in the world is in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
Steepest street in the world.
Yeah, it's just
Dude,
like
that's
the
where you
first-
sled at, right?
the
That's where you
first,
go
like,
sledding.
the first like 15, 20 feet of this street is just like straight up.
Good
It's crazy.
gracious. Yeah, you can't do nothing, especially if there's ice. How you getting up there?
Yeah, you're done. If you live at the top,
You got to
it's
walk.
like, well,
What do you do? Park and walk?
I'm here. You just stay, I guess.
Dude,
I don't know what you would do.
I'm not big on snow, dude. I'm sure you're probably cool with it because you've
It's
been
all
up
right.
north. You've been up
Yeah.
north your whole life, so you adapt. But down
Right.
here, we freak out when it snows.
Oh, I know.
dude.
Yeah, I remember Jacksonville last year. They got like a quarter inch, and like everything in Onslow County shut down.
They
It was
shut the
like-
military base down and everything,
I was
dude.
like, all right, guys.
I was working on base at Jacksonville doing HVAC stuff, and I remember that they heard that it was gonna sleet, and they were like, "All right, guys, time to go." It was like 10:30, and wasn't even supposed to sleep till like 1:30, and they're like, "All right, guys, get off the base. They're shutting it down."
The hilarious, when I lived in Cincinnati, you're right on the river of Kentucky on one side, Cincinnati, Ohio on the other side. Anytime it snowed, Kentucky would shut everything down because they didn't have like salt trucks. It's like, bro, you live right there.
They don't have salt trucks.
Like they
that
were
close to Ohio?
just not prepared, and I couldn't figure it out because it's like, again, you can see Ohio from like your front porch. Like get some trucks, guys.
So it's like the state.
But yeah, I guess it was a state thing. But yeah, like everything. As soon as it snowed, like an inch, everything in Kentucky, northern Kentucky, would all be shut down. Everything in Cincinnati would be like a 1 hour delay.
That's
'Cause,
weird,
they're
dude.
Yeah,
We kind of have salt trucks now, though.
right.
I mean, we never had them before, but then we had a couple bad snows, and I think they kind of
Yeah, you kind of need them.
You kinda need
just
'em.
in case.
yeah, because no, you can't get anywhere, dude.
No,
They shut the schools down here over nothing too, bro.
it's awesome.
Over yeah, it is.
I mean, when you're a kid,
Yeah.
like now, I don't care.
but did they ever shut the schools down there? Like
Yeah, we get them shut down occasionally for snow.
Like when you were little
it would
growing
be
up?
bad. It would have to be really bad. I remember the funniest was, I think, like my junior year of high school. They canceled school for snow that was supposed to be coming in. It didn't come in at all. And I remember we had an exchange student staying at our house at the time, and he and I went in the front yard and were pretending to throw snowballs at each other because like there was no snow. And he and I'm like, "Oh, son, dude, watch out, bud!" And he'd be like this, and then he'd throw one at me, and I'd duck, and it was just because it was so stupid. Like we got the day off school, nothing happened.
that's kind of cool though.
That was great.
I mean-
it was the one time that happened. Every other time, it was like you'd go out there and you're like, "Yep,
Yeah,
There's no,
can't do a whole lot now.
there's no school."
Yeah.
today.
Dude, what's the biggest difference between like for you in your perspective between the north and the south? Like living up north and living down south. Like what's the difference? Like what do you notice?
That's a good question. I mean, the biggest difference is between Pittsburgh, as far as the geographically, obviously the weather. I mean,
Yeah, but the people, like as far as the people.
Yeah, as far as the people goes, is just I don't know. People down here, in the South in general, it's a little more friendly. People honk at you immediately, like when I lived in Pittsburgh. Like you're not flooring it. They're just like on you. Dude, here's the thing. In Pittsburgh, they have a thing called a Pittsburgh left. What a Pittsburgh left is when a light turns, let's say you're in the left turn lane and you're turning left, the light turns green, not the arrow, the light turns green. If you're the first person,
You don't get
you
off.
don't punch it and get through before them cars go, people get mad, dude.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and like
I'm about to start doing Pittsburgh
I
left,
did
bro.
one down here. I
Did you?
looked over. I think it was on MLK, and I was like, "That lady ain't paying attention. I'm gonna get her." And as soon as it turned green, I just right out in front of her. And she's just like, "Oh, what happened?"
Yeah, I'm in
But
Pittsburgh.
yeah, but I mean, people were just really, and traffic's. People talk about traffic here. The traffic there was a nightmare.
Oh, it's nothing.
There's so many people, and it's just the way the city with all the bridges and hills and everything. It's just hard to. It gets choke points there. But yeah, the people are a lot friendlier. My wife's from Philadelphia, so she'll want to honk her horn, and then she's like, "Wait, nobody else is doing this. Maybe I need to back it down a little bit." And people aren't as aggressive here. Not just on the roadways, but their personalities.
Yeah.
People aren't really in your face. People are more kind of laid back, kind of let things come to them, kind of wait, let's see what happens, and then react instead of being proactive and in front of everything.
Why do you think that is? Is it because they're up north, they're packed in so tight, or is it because of the snow all the time, or what? What is it?
I don't know. I think probably some of it would maybe be just I would think if you live in a city, because I grew up in rural Ohio, and people weren't really like that. I think if you grew up in an urban metropolitan area, there's so many people around that you have to be, there's so many things going on that if you're not in front, if you're not aggressive, if you're not assertive, you're not going to get anything. Whereas maybe if it's a little more easygoing, a little more laid back, you don't have to be like constantly thinking, I got to do this, I got to do this. If I'm not pushing this, then nothing's going to happen. Where I think, it's just kind of easier, and it's just, you can be friendlier down here. Because I think if you live in like the Northeast, you're competing with everybody for everything. And I don't think there's as much competition for life, if that even makes sense.
It makes sense, like just little things that we don't really have to worry too much about. You're like way more worried about it up north, like getting out there and getting. So the stand-up was probably a lot different, like you were saying, like trying to get into an open mic. Is that like a shit show trying to do that?
Nah, not really. I mean, people were pretty open to letting you in. I mean, I don't notice as much like infighting with the comics down here. It seems like people are more supportive of each other. Like there were definitely and it was a bigger scene. And I mean, the more people there are, the more likely there's going to be cliques and things like that. And you're going to hang out with your friends. And even if there's only 6 people, you're probably hanging out with, certain people more than others. But I kind of did feel like there was maybe in the comedy scene, sometimes there was some infighting, and maybe people weren't as happy with other people's successes. Like I feel like down here, if somebody did a show and it went well, most people would be like, hey, congratulations. Whereas like I felt like sometimes maybe up there it was more of, why didn't I get that?
See, that's ridiculous.
And just
to me, I think that's ridiculous. I want you to succeed. I want you to do well.
Right.
There's enough success out there for all of us.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things, like for me, I think because coming from a really competitive market like Pittsburgh, like I like to do comedy. But for me, this is a hobby. Like I'm a radio personality. Yeah. That's my job. I have an outlet where I can be creative and do all that kind of stuff. And I kind of try to make it a point to, in my head at least, and try to I'm a radio guy first, not a comedian. And I would hate for people to think like, oh, he's getting that because he's on the radio. Like if I got a gig somewhere, if I was doing a spot at a comedy show, I want it to be based off of my merits, not because of, well, he's on the radio, so let's put him on the show. Like I try to really be, mindful of that kind of thing, because it's like, I don't know, I don't want people to not like me because of of something that's maybe not even real.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
sure.
I just I like doing comedy, but it's not for me. It's not everything. It's just something. It's like I got into radio for an outlet, and comedy's just another outlet for me.
Yeah,
like doing stand up.
That's pretty cool. You're good at it. You should definitely keep doing it.
It's fun. I mean, I do the shows monthly at Skytown Beer Co. Haley over there has been nice enough to let us do those shows.
What do you mean? What is that?
The place over on New Center Drive.
Yeah.
It's a barbecue place.
What shows do you do there?
I do a monthly stand-up show.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I host it, and then I'll bring in like some people from Raleigh or local people, and then we do shows. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I like it. Haley's been amazing. And that was a thing where I went to her and I was just like, "Hey, would you be interested in hosting a show here? Could we do a show?"
Cool.
And she was like, "Let's do it." Yeah, she was awesome. And that was another like, I didn't really go about it the right way, and I kind of ruffled some feathers at work because I went to the business, and said, "Let's do a show." And then they were kind of like, "Hey, you got to kind of come to us first. Go through the proper channels and not," because I kind of just went about it my own way. But I figured I could do it, and then we could work out all the details later.
Yeah,
like I wanted to, because I wanted to have a show. Like I wanted a comedy show in town, and I was so like,
"Cool, dude."
I would rather get it done instead of dealing with red tape and being like, "How do we get it? Can we get the show? Well, let's wait a month. Can we get it now? Let's wait a month." It was like, no, I'm just going to do the show. Then you're going to it'll force your hand to make it work, and it did. Now it's everybody's happy.
That's really cool. So you host that show?
Yes. Yeah.
And you do it once a month. How can people support you? Come out, right?
Absolutely.
Come out, buy drinks, have fun.
Crowds have been incredible for those. The next one's going to be October 19th.
Cool.
Wills Maxwell's the headliner, who's just an absolutely funny dude.
Where do you find these people?
I find them either at the open mics or, I mean, pretty much at the open mics.
Cool.
I found a couple guys. I posted up on in a Facebook group in Raleigh, a comedian Facebook group, just to kind of throwing the net out there if anyone was interested. A few guys sent me their stuff, and they were good, so I invited them on the show.
That's awesome, dude.
Because, again, that's the thing. We've talked about this before during the show here today, is so many people want to do stuff, but they just want it handed to them. They don't want to reach for it. And when a guy, I respect, like you invited me to come on the show. I like that. I like that you're doing your show here.
Yeah.
I like that when a comic, instead of me being like, hey, do you want to do my show this month? I have a 10 minutes I need filled. To have a comic email me and be like, here's a YouTube link of me doing 10 minutes. I'd love to do one of the shows. Like, I appreciate that. Going out there and getting it instead of waiting for things to happen for you in life. Because if you're waiting, stuff ain't never going to happen for you. Unless you're the luckiest dude in the world. Other than that, you're just going to be sitting around and then you're going to be old one day going, why didn't I get that? And you're just going to be bitter for no reason.
Damn, I love that. Dude, I love that you just said that. That's like a huge part of what I believe in. I believe that you have to go out and get it. Or if you want to start doing a painting, pick the brush up,
right.
put the brush to the canvas. Like, just start. For me, if I just start, I'll finish. I will finish. Like, I always finish what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, man. That's awesome. I can appreciate that mentality and, like, your drive to be better and to, like, you're helping other comics, like, get their stuff out there and giving them an opportunity.
And that's the thing. There's so many good people out there. I want people to see them. I want people to know that there's awesome. Wilmington, there's a comedy scene here. And, it's cool when people come to me because they know me from the radio, but they don't know the comics. And then I'm introducing them to all these new people. And hopefully the comedians can make more money. They can get more exposure. And people in town could just be proud to know that, hey, we got some cool stuff going on.
I want to come out. I want to come try. I want to come, I want to come see. Well, who'd you say was coming 19th?
The next one's going to be Tony Castleberry, Colton Tamonte, and headlined by Willis Maxwell.
All right, I know Tony.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Yeah.
I like Tony.
We've had some good shows.
That's awesome. So, I'm probably gonna. It's right on the street right here, right?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like you come right out here and you take a left on New Center.
Yeah,
and then it's right there on the right.
Right across the street from Target, man.
Dude, that Thai place right there, slamming.
Is it?
Do you like Thai food?
My wife really does.
I love Thai food. I think it's called Ida Thai.
Okay.
Or something like that. Dude, it's slamming, dude.
Okay.
So, and I think the food at Skytown's really good too.
Food there's very, very good.
It's a really cool looking place.
It's the same people that run Beer Barrio downtown.
Okay.
Like, Beer Barrio is awesome.
Yeah.
Love that place. And then Skytown. It's barbecue. They do some good stuff over there.
Yeah, I ordered I didn't eat, but I got somebody some food from there, and I was looking at their menu, and I was like, this looks really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's
man.
awesome. They let you do a comedy show there.
And
so you're the host?
Yeah, I went and I asked
so
the lady.
cool, man. I
was like, hey, we're looking to do a comedy show. What night of the week would you be interested in? I'm thinking Wednesday, Tuesday. She's like, our crowds on Saturday nights usually die off about 7. Would you want to do an 8 o'clock Saturday night show?
Oh,
and it
that's
was like,
so cool, dude. Sha-ting.
I'm like, absolutely. So, yeah, we've been doing those, and luckily they've been packed every time. And every time I'm nervous, they're not going to be filled. And every time I'm nervous, she's going to be like, all right, this is the last one. You suck.
Yeah.
I'm always just paranoid, dude.
How you like hosting?
Every time. I love it. That's kind of what I wanted to get to that point where I could host. I enjoy the hosting aspect of it. I like that. And really, being perfectly transparent about this, there's the end game for me is I want to do like what we did in Pittsburgh, where we did big shows at theaters. I want to do a show at like the Wilson Center or somewhere else like that. Bring in big time comics, and all I really want to do is host it. So I want to be a great host. So if I am out there with, Tom Segura or somebody, I'm not way in over my head if I do a few jokes, some local stuff, get the crowd going a little bit, and then bring in somebody.
Yeah. That's definitely feasible, bro.
That's what there's, you got to have a goal, and then you have to keep going and building off of, okay, well, what's next? I don't want to ever be where it's just kind of like, I'm where I am. I like it here. I don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
I don't want to be complacent.
damn, I'm glad we're friends because I need people in my life like that, man. That's the type of people you need in your life to like help push you forward.
Yeah.
I've been talking to my buddy. He's like real deep in depression right now, and it's like eating him up. And it's something I've never had experience with. And he called me today, and he was like, man, I'm so thankful to have you in my life because I have somebody that can help push me to try to get to another place. And I'm just like, man, that's pretty cool. And I was like, we have to surround ourselves with people who want to be better.
Right.
I mean, you are kind of who you hang out with. You really are.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself with losers and people that don't do anything, you're not probably going to get better. You're not going to live to your full potential when you surround yourself with people like that.
Two things I want to, before I leave the show here today. Clint Hurdle, manager of the Pirates, well, he just got fired actually yesterday, right before the game. Kind of a dick move, honestly. But he had a saying, so what, now what? I love that saying so much.
So what, now what?
So what, now what? Instead of worrying about something bad happens to you. Okay? It happened, now what? Like, what do you do about it? You can't just sit there and be like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I didn't get that promotion at work. I can't believe, whatever. Like, whatever it is in your life. It's like, okay, that happened. What are you going to do about it to make it better? How do you proceed from whatever happened in your life? So what, now what? I love that saying from Clint Hurdle.
That's awesome, man.
And then this is kind of corny, but I want to tell you this because it helped. As silly as it's going to sound, it helped me get through some times. As I told you earlier, like I applied for hundreds of jobs, and I'd never get them. And like I thought at times, I put ultimatums on myself, like if I don't get a job by this date, I'm going to quit. If I don't get my own show by now, if this place doesn't take me, I'm done. And I never really quit because I wanted to know if I could do it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to just quit, do it for 8 years, and then be like, well, I never get my own show. I had my fill of radio. Time to make money doing a real job. I wanted to know what it was like to really be the guy on the show, which I get to do now, which is awesome. But one of the things, and anytime I got really down, and I was just thinking about, like for a motivational, whether it's a song or movie or whatever, a clip I always use to motivate myself. Stone Cold Steve Austin got fired from WCW, and he went to ECW. And he does a promo. It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's great. And he's talking about all the stuff that happened to him at WCW. He's mad. He's frustrated. But there's a line in that at the end. And again, this is pre-Stone Cold. He's still got blonde, stringy hair. He's losing it. Like, this is like 1995. Yeah. Before he became the guy that blew up pro wrestling. He says a line where he goes, I'm going to be the superstar that I always knew that I could be. And clearly when you watch it now and you know where his career goes, you know that's real. Man,
that's crazy.
But it's such a line where you're just like, look, I'm not saying I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin of radio because, believe me, I'm not. My bank account tells you that. But it was just always like he had that belief in himself. Like, if I had the chance to do what I knew I could do, it would be amazing. If I just I'm going to fight to get that chance. And when I get that opportunity, I'm going to be the superstar that I always knew I could be.
Wow.
And it's just like...
It's crazy now because you look at it and you're like, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin, dude. Dude, that's amazing.
It's a great clip, and anytime like I'd just be really frustrated at work, I'd watch it. Or like I'd put it on YouTube while I'm driving in my car on my way home, sitting in traffic, and I'd just be like, damn right, Steve Austin.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool. I put on, you know who C.T. Fletcher is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I put on C.T. Fletcher where he's
Compton Superman.
Compton Superman, yeah, dude. He's got a video. It's his most famous video. But, dude, it pumps me up every time. And he's basically saying, like, I didn't come here to get a participation trophy. Yeah. He's like, I didn't come here to get second place. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a good video. Like, dude, he gets me pumped up, dude. I'll be in the gym and I'll put way too much weight on the thing, dude. But yeah, that's probably my inspirational one.
I just heard a story recently. Now that we're talking about, and by the way, CT and Steve Austin hang out.
Do they?
CT's been on Steve Austin's podcast like a half dozen times.
Really?
Like they do shows together.
Oh, I gotta listen to that.
But Mark Henry from WWE, World's Strongest
Yeah,
Man.
I remember Mark Henry.
Back in like 2002, he told a story. He told a story recently. It was from 2002. The people in the strongman world were saying, "How's this guy going to say he's the world's strongest man? He doesn't compete." They're chirping at him all the time. So Mark went to Vince McMahon and he's like, "I'm going to leave. I want to compete and I'm going to show these guys I'm the strongest guy." And Vince said, "You better win because there's not a spot for the second strongest man." That's what he told him. He was like, "If you're going to do this, you better win." And he went out there and he dominated those guys.
Really?
Yeah. I can't think of what the lift was. I can't think of what it's called. But like 3 or 4 people had lifted it like once.
It's probably power lift.
It was a certain lift. It was like this
or
big
deadlift.
It was like this big bar or something that was like super big or whatever. But like a few people had lifted it once. Mark lifted it 3 times.
Oh my God! Dude.
And then just
he was
left.
huge. He was like 600 pounds.
He was unbelievable. Yeah, he's freakishly strong. But like, can you imagine being that confident in yourself? You have a cushy gig, making tons of dough. People are chirping at you that really don't matter, but you want to show them. And your boss is like, "All right, but if you lose, you're done."
So he risked it all.
Yeah,
He
everything.
risked it all.
Because if he doesn't beat them, then they're right, and then he can't go back.
Dude.
And he did it. He crushed them.
Dude, that's so
crazy,
sick, dude.
Crazy.
That's awesome. I love stories like that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably. Do you talk about stuff like that on the radio?
Yeah, occasionally. I like to really, I like to promote people that are, following their dreams. Like if something like that's happening, I like to talk about, my journeys in life and
so
things
cool,
I've done. Because, dude, I grew up when I graduated, my school district was the poorest school district in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
It was rural. It was country. I remember in 5th grade, a substitute teacher, somebody was competing or trying out for the Olympic team. And she was like, "Nobody from Pike County is ever going to amount to nothing." Like, this kind of blew off this person that was going to be competing for the Olympics. And it was just kind of like, man, who's this lady? Like, that's why people in those areas never get out. Because their whole life they're being told, you don't matter because you grew up in a really poor area. Like, that don't matter.
But occasionally,
like,
when you tell the right person that, they're gonna go.
And that's why, like, I go to I'll DM the principal every once in a while, or the superintendent of my old school. I don't even know these people who are in charge anymore. Yeah. But I'm always like, if you need me to talk to, I offer whatever services I can even offer, just to let them know that you can get out, dude. Like, just because you're born somewhere. Just because your family's poor, just because whatever. Like, it doesn't mean you have to. That doesn't mean that. Well, that's my life.
Yeah, it's not links in an unbreakable chain, man. Yeah. Like, you can break the chain.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be hard.
But you can get out if you want to.
Yeah.
If you really try, and if I can help anybody doing that kind of stuff, or just even if I can just tell my story to help somebody else, like, I absolutely at any opportunity want to do that.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yes, this has been a lot of fun.
Dude, I would love to have you back on again.
Sure.
You're awesome to have on the podcast.
We can talk. We'll talk whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it out there October 19th.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in my calendar.
October 19th, and then I don't know the November date off the top of my head. I think the 24th or something.
If you got anything for social media that I can share, let me know. I'll
absolutely
share it on my page.
I just posted on my Instagram earlier today.
Cool.
So it's up there.
All right. Well, I might just screenshot that and throw it up on the... That'll work, right? Doesn't that work?
That's fine.
Randy Slack.
Yeah.
Randy Slack, dude. I'm so glad you came on the podcast.
I'm glad I came out, man. Thanks for having me out here.
Everybody, thanks for listening to Randy Slack, Hunt for Greatness podcast. Love you guys.